welcome to On the Spot Theater Company's virtual production of a new drama, The Ninth Planet by Mike Braindick. The Ninth Planet is set in contemporary Chicago in the Lincoln Square area where the grammar school teacher and novelist Jan Warren lives with her husband, modern American poetry professor Alan Warren. When the play begins, this couple, whose only child is away at college, are enjoying a late Friday afternoon at their favorite cafe on Damon Avenue near the Brown Line L stop. Their old friends who they haven't seen in over 10 years, Chris and Melly Markham, have just come unexpectedly into the city from their flight from London, England, where they now live. The two couples had worked together while supporting Barack Obama's first campaign for president. Now long separated, the couples are all about to get reacquainted over the long weekend. Throughout the play, you will hear excerpts of a novel being written by Jan Warren entitled The Ninth Planet, which explores the nature of the forces that affect our lives and that features a protagonist named Carol. The title itself refers to the recent discovery that there may be a formerly unknown ninth planet at the edge of our solar system that, though so far invisible to the eyes, controls the orbit of objects in space. The part of Jan is being played by Emma Braindick, Al by Stephen Berman, Melly by Mackenzie Lee Taylor, and Chris by Connor Kendall. This production read-through is being done as a kind of radio play, with the advantage of you actually being able to see online the faces of the performers as they read their parts. These notes and the stage directions are being read by myself, Eric Monzel. Enjoy the show. Prologue. Jan writing and Al grading papers in the cafe. Lincoln Square, a Friday afternoon in early fall.
Carol Freed stood on the sidewalk outside her apartment building near Lincoln Square. The autumnal dusk slowly diminished the light on the trees at the end of the street. The moon struggled through the clouds toward the stars. Carol knew it was the Earth's atmosphere that created this illusion of the moon's tortured journey. But then some things should not be taken for granted, and that was the problem. Had she been taking for granted the stability of her own world? Was that why she hesitated to go back up into their cozy two-bedroom home? Or was she questioning things because that was the nature of turning 40? After all, where else did she belong, if not with the man she had loved and slept next to for over 20 years?
Scene 1, the same afternoon, the fountain at Lincoln Square and the cafe.
Chicago in summer. The searing heat, the cars full of people grimly determined to enjoy the season, the air pollution.
The air is better here than in London.
I suppose so. Yes, and the old neighborhood doesn't look half bad.
What happened to all the arts and crafts stores?
Only so much you can do with broken clock gears and photos of 1940s movie stars. Sorry if you are disappointed.
I just wasn't expecting to be here, that's all.
Culture shock?
No, time shock.
Not that long ago, really?
10 years, when those clock gears broke for good.
Jan, when are you going to let me read that thing?
It's my first novel. You think those masterpieces you teach were written in a few days?
Jack Kerouac finished On the Road in 3 weeks.
On a roll of toilet paper, yeah.
It wasn't toilet paper.
I just need to get it right. I am married to the mighty chairman of the English department.
Only because no one else wanted to do it. Now, let me see that.
I will, when it's published, perhaps.
I think the jet lag's starting to hit me.
The sun by the lake should have helped.
Maybe a little. Not exactly the ocean like we planned.
True, would have been nice to vacation with all the other Brits in Miami.
We're not Brits.
But now that we are here, we can always enjoy that cushy bed at the Palmer House.
Like we did when we were first married.
Well, then we could only afford a Motel 6. I mean, the roof leaked and the bed creaks.
When you had to go to a pharmacy in the middle of the night for me. You were so sweet then. But we couldn't, you know.
Yeah, I forgave you. Anyway, we still got around to having a child, remember?
Yes, I remember. I was there. And the first thing you had to do here was go to the fountain where she used to play.
Maybe we needed to be here so that we could try to move on.
Yeah, if only you knew how.
We could call Sarah.
You talked to her yesterday.
I forgot. You were at the lower grade staff dinner. You could have called her back.
It was late. I was trying to be respectful.
Your first mistake.
No, you were my first mistake. You didn't argue with her about politics, did you?
No, I didn't. All right, and she could easily change her mind, decide that she hates that boy's guts.
Just because he watches Fox News doesn't mean he won't respect her.
Well, you women are confusing.
Good. Let's keep it that way.
So, are we done with all that then?
Having kids or mourning for Becky?
You know that's not what I mean. I mean, you and me, the physical part.
I didn't say that. Oh. Look,
What?
could it really be?
No. No, I don't believe it.
Do you think we should?
No. No, don't.
Scene 2, the cafe.
So,
Yes.
Yeah.
Too long.
almost a lifetime.
Oh, you mean not long enough?
No. Really good to see you, Melly. Yes. I mean, sure. You two, Chris?
Very funny. He was always very funny.
Still is, sometimes.
I always said if I didn't have a sense of humor, then I'd have no sense at all.
God help you.
Isn't that what we would all used to say after a long day campaigning for Obama? With a little help from God.
I think it just meant with a little bit of luck.
Well, certainly lucky we came here today, isn't it? Our flight to Florida was canceled the last minute.
Yes, but we never expected to.
No, see the two of you? I was just telling Melly the other day what a shame we had lost contact. We heard you moved to Portland.
Who told you that?
Oh, you know, through the grapevine.
I didn't know there was one.
It's a shame we didn't know you'd be here.
Or you could have had us over.
Oh, Jan. Melly, you must have so many things to do in such a short time.
3 days, actually.
You still live in that cute third floor walk up around the corner?
Yes, it's not a house exactly, but it's home.
Oh, we've kept moving because we can't get away from each other. But then it gives us the illusion that we're making a false start each time.
Really?
No, she's just kidding.
Just kidding. We just couldn't stay in the old flat. Too many memories.
No, of course. I always understood that.
I mean, I maybe would have, but Chris.
Well, it was a mutual decision, right?
Anyway, the people we really cared about had already moved out. Except you two, of course. And since Chris inherited all those stocks from his uncle, we spent a few weeks each winter in Italy or go in spring to Nice. It's lovely there, except for all the American tourists.
Traveling is great, but you don't get bored?
Melly's not bored. She's been finishing her college degree, finally, online.
It's something for me to do while Chris is busy writing.
Oh, your second book.
My fourth, actually. The critics loved the first one. Not so much the last two, but this new one, Hope Springs Eternal.
So Jan, still writing too?
Yes, a bit.
And still at that little progressive school?
Uh-huh.
We thought it closed. Time to put the poor thing out of its misery. That's what we often said, didn't we?
I never said that.
It's funny, though, that we should see you here now. Last time, I think it was almost 3 years ago, we drove by.
You drove by? You could have stopped, said hello.
Would have missed our flight, but you were sitting right there.
Well, Alan was, I don't think Janice was there.
No, Janice was there too, at this table.
No, I'm sure it was the one in the corner, and it was only Al.
The walls were a different color back then. They were green before. They were blue back then, weren't they?
No, they're purple now. They were green before. He forgets he's colorblind.
I am not.
You are, dear, just like the founder of Facebook, who thinks he can't do anything wrong because the success of his company proves he's a genius.
As if you don't have any faults.
No one complained about them for 20 years. Then I get married and wham, there they all are.
Plain as the nose on your face.
He doesn't like my nose either.
Which one?
What?
Well, this is actually my second nose job I had to put back.
Back?
Makes it sound like she misplaced it somewhere, doesn't it?
Not so funny when you're the one having your sinus walls realigned. I had it redone because he told me he liked it better the way it was, so voila, there it is.
Improved and not so new. Kind of a retro Melly look, I sometimes call it. Neo Melly. At least she doesn't snore anymore.
You're the one that snores, even on the plane. We circled for half an hour before we landed. You know, you get close to a place and then you just can't seem to get there, as if you hover forever, just tantalizing out of reach, and never be able to touch ground.
Circling. Yes, I've always hated that.
But we can still do it, you know. Have come to dinner, like Al said.
Did I? For tonight?
Yes, we don't want to inconvenience you, but if you could run us over to our hotel first.
Be over tomorrow night, if that's better.
Or next time that you visit, we could really be ready for that.
Even if you don't know that we're coming?
Oh, it's best to prepare for all eventualities.
Good, we're just downtown.
Downtown, you know, I'm out of gas. I would have to stop.
No worries, mate. I can pitch in on that, and then we can catch up more over dinner.
Yes. Would that be nice? Carol and her husband went often to the cafe where they first met. Perhaps because it was better than staying home alone together. And that was natural, right? That was healthy. Carol's marriage often left her mystified. Some days she felt her soul so closely annealed to his that no matter how far apart they might be, she was complete only because he existed too. And then she thought, oh, yes, love is like the ninth planet they say circles at the edge of our solar system, an invisible force that affects the orbit of their existence, guiding them round the sun to their last moment on this earth, when, even in eternity, their souls would still hold a place in the benevolent energy of the universe, full of passion and compassion, and the tender light that makes all life possible.
Scene 3, same evening, dinner time, Jane and Al's apartment.
I would have cleaned up if I knew.
Well, you look fine to me.
I mean the place.
More peas?
Oh, why not?
Just out of a can. If we'd had more time.
Oh, yeah. She would have grown some fresh on the balcony next to our home meal.
I haven't had a home-cooked American meal in ever so long.
You sound like our daughter when she comes home for break.
Yeah, not like a man whose wife cooks for him every night. If we had a real-sized kitchen in London.
Oh, a 2-floor semi-detached, but you can't have everything.
Can you pass the potatoes? Thanks.
More for me, too, please. Not as good as Melly's, but they hit the spot.
Hitting the spot sounds like a good idea to me.
Thanks, darling. Can I have some more roast beef, too? Lovely. Thanks.
You do have a good appetite for someone who's had 2 meals on a plane.
Well, it never stopped us in the first place. Remember that night we had tacos delivered to the campaign storefront? Went out for pizza an hour later and got wasted on a 6-pack each.
Don't remember exactly.
Alan doesn't drink anymore.
That's okay. I prefer to drink by myself. I'm more of an anti-social drinker.
Oh, how nice for everyone. Anyway, the old days have gotten old.
Oh, you mean like us?
Yeah, Chris has decided he's never getting old.
Oh, contemplating suicide, are we?
Not funny.
No, but that's a good one too. It is the opposite. Really, don't I seem fit to you?
I suppose. He doesn't look any older than last time we saw him.
You said that you looked like you'd been sick.
Did I?
Yeah, when we saw him through the window.
No, not sick. Healthier than I've been in years.
Oh yes, he certainly does take care of himself in his fashion. Almost could say it's his main focus.
Only so I can be here for you, dear. So you don't turn into one of those doddering old wives at 50. Too many people give up when they get a few gray hairs. That's why they think the government should bail them out.
Wasn't that what your first book was about? The social conscience and the welfare state?
Like I said, I've changed, and the world has changed. If you listen to the news, you would think everything is getting worse and worse. Crimes, drugs, terrorism, racism, civil wars.
Not to mention global warming, but isn't it all true?
Oh, that's the thing. It's not. Statistically, we live in a safer, better world than ever before.
Except for our capacity to wipe it out in a second.
See, now that is the kind of defeatist rhetoric we need to buck up. All that fear is just a scare tactic fomented by old world liberals.
Yeah, like us, you mean?
When actually things have been getting better and better.
For who?
More and more people. It's the people from other countries who want to get in here we should worry about. Want to be like us, the poor buggers.
Oh, you mean like how our grandparents wanted to come here? Yeah, okay. He has changed.
Oh no, don't let him fool you. He's the same old Chris.
Opinionated?
Stubborn.
Sure of himself?
Ego up to here.
But don't you think that his opinions have been sliding a bit more to the right?
Maybe you have slipped too far to the left.
Where do you stand on all this, Millie?
Oh, well, I think Chris has some compelling ideas now and then. Like that people have to take responsibility for their own lives. Even stuffing envelopes for Obama made me feel like what I did really mattered. My parents never made me feel that way.
You used to say marrying me was the most meaningful day in your life.
I used to say that, yeah, a long time ago.
But yes, Mel, that was a special time. We helped a president get elected.
I mostly remember doors slamming in our faces when we were canvassing.
I mostly remember how anxious people were about the future.
That's because once he was elected, we had no control over what he did.
No. Or how hard the Congress made it for him to accomplish anything.
We don't really need to talk politics, do we?
No, we don't. How's your daughter, Sylvia doing?
Sarah. And she's a sophomore at Carleton College.
No. Last time I saw a picture of her, the Christmas card that you guys sent, she was only what, 5 or 6? She's not majoring in politics, is she?
No, probably studio art or graphic design. And she met this boy.
Oh boy, already, really?
No offense, but I'd really rather talk politics. I mean, even if we still had a kid, they move out, right? Eventually, lose interest in you. But I haven't lost interest in what's going on in the world. That's what's going to keep me young. Listen, Al, do you have time to meet me for coffee in the morning?
Oh, well, won't you be seeing the sights? I mean, you grew up here, but it's been a while.
Yeah, I'd love to see that bean thing again. But Macy's or Nordstrom's would be good too.
Maybe Melly and Jan can do some shopping and you and I can just hang out.
Hanging out. That's what men do.
Especially when they have too many home-cooked meals.
Should we be worried about leaving them alone?
I don't think so. Anyway, who cares if it gives us some time off?
Scene 4. The apartment and a room at the Palmer House Hotel.
That was quite an evening.
Quite a day, too.
We wanted an adventure.
Maybe you did. I just wanted
What?
for it to be just us. You knew that.
Before we even saw them, I had said, let's go back to the hotel. You didn't want to.
Yeah, well, I want to even less now.
What's the matter?
Nothing.
You weren't exactly glad to see them.
Was it that obvious?
Kind of, yeah. You were so tense. Not like they're moving back here.
No, but you didn't have to invite them to dinner.
But did you really have to suggest that we get together tomorrow, too?
Seemed the polite thing to do.
Since when do you worry about being polite?
Yeah, I admit I don't like protocols, but rules of politeness are like the diplomats that provide a buffer between countries. Nothing real may be said, but wars can be prevented. what happened wasn't our fault. We had lots to contend with.
Yes. Yes, we did.
What exactly are you worried about? Al,
And I don't know. I don't know. They might need something from us again.
they're rich now, and that real estate deal was a long time ago.
Well, the capital we invested, it was supposed to be safe.
But it wasn't his fault the market shifted.
All I know is that he didn't offer once to give us our money back at all.
I was sure he'd ask for that money back. But we all had to cut our losses, didn't we?
Yes, I suppose we did. So no regrets then?
I don't regret anything. We did the best we could.
Still not the best start to our last chance weekend, is it?
There was only money.
Only money.
Here's where you're supposed to say, as long as I have you, darling, I'm the richest man in the world.
I love you more than anything.
But not more than that $25,000.
We were going to use it on a down payment on a house.
We made this place into a beautiful home where we raised our daughter and we're very happy.
Suppose, yeah.
Look, I was as surprised as you were to see them sitting there,
Oh, frozen in time.
as if they hadn't changed at all.
As if they were waiting for us to come down that street.
I mean, to do what? Continue where we left off?
The break was pretty darn sharp.
Maybe not quite sharp enough.
So you haven't been happy.
Sarah? Yes, of course.
But with me?
You know I was. You know, you're starting to sound a lot like Melly.
Thanks a lot.
Anyway, it's too late now for a lot of things.
Not for a drink. Only 11:30. I don't think I can watch another episode of which dress is best for the bride or which dream house some schlubs pick for themselves.
Like us, you mean?
Come with me. Down to the bar. Please. Might help us both be in a better mood.
I told you I don't really feel like it. I'm kind of tired.
Well, suit yourself.
It's just seeing them made me angry all over again. Especially because I let you down.
How? How did you let me down?
Okay, you know how. By taking it all out on you.
Not all on me. There was that plastic garbage can you demolished in the alley with a baseball bat. Though I never really liked that can.
Yeah, it did mess up our recycling. Listen, I'm not perfect.
Neither am I.
Alright, come on. Let's get to bed.
In just a bit, I have some editing still going through my head, and
Okay, sure. I'll see you soon.
for a while, Carol was convinced that the ninth planet was really God, a deity who hovered out of sight in an orbit that allowed a clear vision of worldly events. How important distance must be for the one who takes in the daily round of human violence and suffering. Did I really create this? God must wonder. And Carol began to think that God, in horror and despair, must have long ago fled that ninth planet. So the only thing now holding our world together was the lingering good wishes of a creator who was too discouraged to stick around. Armageddon would be a lonely event, and most likely to be triggered by those very beings, shaped from the dust in which had been invested so much eternal love.
The next morning, Saturday, the streets of Lincoln Square.
You think that used record store is still there, the one we really liked?
I thought it was on Lawrence under the tracks, but
Listen, I know Melly was a bit pushy last night,
Melly, yeah.
insisting we come for dinner. It's been a while since you and I were best friends.
I'm not sure that we were ever best friends.
Well, not to each other, maybe, but you were always my best friend.
Was I? No. It was you and Joshua Matz that were best friends.
No, well, I used to let Joshua tell people that because I didn't have the heart to tell him that he wasn't really my friend at all.
Okay, so let me get this straight. I was your best friend, and I didn't know it. And Joshua wasn't your friend at all, and he didn't know it, but thought that he was your best friend.
Precisely. It's a strange world, isn't it?
Yeah, getting stranger all the time. I don't know, maybe it was on Ashland.
What happened to us, Alan?
What happened to you, Chris?
Oh, it's not all about me, old boy.
That's another thing. Why? Why do you use so many British expressions and slang? Even before you moved there, you're not British.
I didn't. I don't.
You have. You always have. Even in debate class. Although then, you were arguing for a more progressive side of things, and now.
Now I'm just hewing closer to my core.
Is that what that is?
Yes. Yes, I've stripped away all the pretensions and illusions that clouded my vision.
Yeah. More like the blind leading the blind. I don't know. You know, where's that damn store?
Maybe it closed. The point is, I see things more clearly now than ever before.
How so? Oh, should I wait for the book release or the movie adaptation? You know, with good old Ayn Rand, the guru of open marriages and selfishness.
This has nothing to do with good old Ayn Rand. I still believe in making the world better. I just think everyone needs to work at it, no matter where they're coming from.
But even if they don't have a decent place to live, let alone food on a table.
It's not the government's job. We're all happy and well fed. Time to find a new way.
A new constitution. And just casually throw out the Bill of Rights.
Washington and Jefferson were slaveholders, for God's sake.
Yes, and they made a terrible compromise, leaving racial inequality at the center of it all. See, we have to widen the circle. Our current ways of thinking just leave too many people out.
Well, the old ideals don't engender equality either. We can't afford to keep funding public education because it doesn't work. It's just the tyranny of a secular society.
So, okay, so then no tax breaks, or handouts to corporations, right?
That's different. The drug industry has to do research for our future well-being.
Oh, and how about inheriting all that money from your uncle? That wasn't a handout for your well-being?
How could I help it if he liked me when I was a kid?
I think he doesn't know you now. And what about the money that you borrowed from me?
That was also an investment. You knew the risks.
Okay, what if I didn't?
I told you to have a lawyer look it over.
I didn't think I needed one. After all, we were best friends.
Yes, or so it seemed at the time. But is that what this is all about? Al, why didn't you just say so? Right then, I could give you a loan if you are in need. Or are you saying you still want that money, even though you have no legal right to it?
No, Chris. Of course not. I don't want anything. I don't want have the right to. Okay, don't you feel anything for anyone anymore?
See, there you go again. Hyperbole to cover for lack of a valid argument. Your vision clouded by emotion rather than built on rationality and fact.
Without compassion, there is no future for anyone. Logic without soul, it's not just the end of a friendship. It's Armageddon.
Wow. Not bad for a guy who mainly teaches that hippie beat poetry crap. For a moment, I almost glimpsed the old Al. The one destined to do great things. But hey, you can still count on me to help you get there, which you might eventually.
Yeah, thanks a lot.
But that was great, right? You got the old juices flowing. I should visit Chicago more often.
No, that's all right. I think London deserves you more.
Oh, I would never forget my friends, even if they couldn't find a record store to save their damn lives. But then, the girls deserved a chance to have some fun too. Am I right, or am I right?
Carol found it more and more difficult to listen to the news, as if the ninth planet was a place of politics and power, invisible and yet also blind to consequences, like the Greek gods of old. Her realm was her classroom. There she planned and then improvised with determined inventiveness to keep her students learning and questioning and creating. Only this way could she prepare them for a world over which they seemed to have such uncertain control. In turn, her students were a lifeline of hope. Each moment of kindness or insight she engendered could make more of a difference than might seem possible. This, too, was a form of faith that inspired her to get up each day and continue on with the task.
Scene 6, the same day after lunch, the lobby of the Palmer House.
I would have bought those earrings if you had let me.
No way, it cost a fortune. Not sure Chris wants you spending your money on me.
Oh, I don't know. Pretty nice hotel lobby, huh? Have you ever stayed here at the Palmer House?
Never, no. You said before you were craving ice cream.
Changed my mind. I thought we could use a little after-dinner nightcap.
Just at lunch.
It's dinner where I'm from.
I wouldn't mind living in London.
It's expensive, dearie. You'd never afford it.
No, I suppose not.
But there are some things that I can never get used to, like the tiny fridge and having to lug the groceries every couple days. Here, you just pull up with your car and you're set for a week.
But you have the museums, all those other countries, just a train ride away.
When we travel, Chris spends most of his time at the library, so I'm usually left alone to sightsee. Usually the best part.
You must have made some interesting new friends.
Oh, he knows some stuffy old blokes from the London School of Economics. I'm not sure he even realizes that they don't think we're quite the right class.
There's class here, too, just more subtle. We're stuck in ours just like we're stuck in our apartment. They raised a special assessment to fix the fire escapes, so lately we've settled for driving to Galena or Lake Geneva. Not exactly the real Geneva or a day trip to Paris.
Oh, Paris is even more crowded than London. You're better off where you are.
Maybe so are you.
Unless, of course, you want to trade.
What do you mean?
You could move to London and I could move here.
And what about our husbands?
We just leave them where they are.
I'm not sure I'm willing to trade husbands with you, if that's what you mean.
Oh, I don't know. I thought you might not mind.
What made you think that?
Oh, come on, Jan. Not as if you hadn't already done that before without my agreeing to any trade, but I forgave you a long time ago.
Honestly, I have no idea what you're talking about.
No point lying now. Chris has had several affairs since then, and with each one I care less and less.
Melly.
Yeah, well, I'd admit that I'd dabbled in a bit of that as well. There was this very cute graduate student who lived on our street and worked in a fancy French deli. He pretended to be French the first time I met him.
I thought you said you didn't like France.
I didn't like Paris, not France. Anyway, he wasn't really French, though. He did recite poetry to me a few times. His accent was terrible.
How can you be so casual about all this?
You were pretty casual and coy that time, too, keeping a secret like that from your husband all these years.
It's not funny. What do you think I did exactly?
You know very well, but okay, I'll play along. Do you remember when I came home from the hospital with Becky that 3rd September? And we had just heard there was no hope and there was nothing they could do?
I remember that time, yes. It was very difficult for you and Chris.
Especially for Becky. But I took her to the Mayo Clinic. I wasn't ready to give up. I was away for a couple of weeks and, well, that's when you decided to sleep with Chris.
You really believe that I would... When you were trying to save your child? What kind of monster do you think I am?
Ugh, I've already told you. I don't blame you, given what a bony-ass shrew I've always been. And Chris was hardly quiet about the fact that I wasn't sleeping with him after I'd moved a cot into Becky's room.
Cut it out, will you? You can't just make things up like that.
Ugh, listen, Jan. I was willing to let the subject go, but now you're really starting to piss me off. I don't care anymore that it happened, but I do care that you won't admit it.
How can I admit what never was?
Oh, sweetheart. It's not so terrible once in a while to take a long, hard look in the mirror.
And I thought you had stopped drinking a long time ago. It really doesn't look good on you.
Not about my drinking, you sanctimonious cow.
I'm leaving now, so you don't embarrass yourself any more than you already have.
Oh, yes, a thoughtful friend to the bitter end. Funny though, Al had no trouble believing me when I told him.
You told Al the same nonsense? Why would you do that?
Because I felt sorry for him. And I felt sorry for myself. So what happened after that was hardly my fault. No, it wasn't my fault at all. But clearly, you don't want to hear anything else from me, so I'll just shut up, shall I?
Melly, if you have something else to tell me, just do it.
What are you going to do if I don't? Make me stand in the corner?
Finish what you started, damn you.
Well, okay. But if anyone asks, you're going to have to tell them that you forced me with a threat of violence. Ready then? I'm talking about when Al cheated on you. With me.
No, come on. Al, he wouldn't.
Well, I was just as astonished as the next girl when he came to me. But then he was in so much need of some tender love and care and sympathy.
When exactly are you saying this happened?
Oh, I think you were at some writing conference and Chris was stewing literally about what some critic said about his new book. He was on a bench for days, so...
No, I don't believe it. You're making all this up too.
Am I? What are you gonna do now? Make me write 500 times on the blackboard? I will not sleep with your husband again? But sorry. I think I better go lie down. Cheerio, dearie. Have a safe trip home round the corner. I'll be thinking of you over my scones and cream on Hampstead High Street.
Walking at the park in late October, Carol was entranced by two red and black beetles on a silky milkweed pod. The smaller bug was turning 360 degrees to put its antennae on the surface of the larger, unmoving bug. It reminded Carol of the slow-motion dance of astronauts walking in space. Was the smaller one staying close for protection? Or mourning the death of its mother? Or was it a spouse guarding her husband while he slept? She had to move on, the mystery unsolved. Later, on the internet, she discovered that what she had seen was a milkweed bug that survives the winter by feeding on other insects. Even among a species, the smaller might eat the larger. This knowledge filled her with a deep sadness. The world was infinitely more cruel than kind.
That Saturday evening, a different hotel room at the Palmer House.
You're here.
I'm here.
I wasn't sure you would come, but I'm glad. What do you think of the room?
Very nice. Can you really afford it? 2 rooms at once?
It is a special occasion.
And what about Melly?
She thinks I'm down at the bar. Anyway, God bless her. She doesn't really want me anymore. Gives you and I a second chance.
To do things we should have done in the first place.
Exactly.
Never too late.
Absolutely not.
Yes, that's what I thought too.
Hey! Oh, hey, enough. What the hell is wrong with you?
Funny, that's what I came to ask you.
Okay, obviously I misunderstood.
You think?
Well, if you hit me like that, you must feel something.
Oh, I feel something, all right.
Misplaced anger? At your husband? If you don't know if you really love him anymore? If you aren't sure if you ever really did?
What I feel for my husband is none of your business, god damn you.
Hey, you called me this time, remember? I just thought...
You thought wrong. Why did you do it, Chris? Why? Let your wife believe that you and I had an affair.
So that's what... but I didn't. She jumped to her own conclusions.
You didn't try very hard to change your mind, did you? And I'm sure you also didn't expect what happened next.
For Alan to run to Melly. No, actually I was pretty upset. But, that's the way people are. They let you down. Probably for the best that you finally found out. I was ready to forgive him if he ever had the guts to admit it.
Yes, truth and forgiveness. You and your wife seem to have a thing for that.
Yeah.
No. One November afternoon, when the recent time change left the sidewalk too soon in shadow, Carol watched people move along intersecting planes as if in an Escher drawing. An old man trudging to the right, the asphalt gleaming after a cold rain with a dark, luminous illusion of death. A young woman bobbing out of frame to the left, and a smaller figure receding to the east, the cafe window like a movie scene that distanced her from those other lives. And yet, she could almost feel their pace and mood, flickers of grief or joy or of loneliness. She took another sip of coffee, one more gulp of time, from childhood to adulthood, the steam rising from the cup hardly having time to dissipate. And now she was indeed 40, hypnotized by the rhythms of the night, as she had been at 10, looking out of the window of her parents' house.
Scene 8, later that night, the apartment, Lincoln Square.
Where were you? I texted you. You didn't answer.
I was at the hotel.
The hotel, the Palmer House.
Yes, Chris asked me to come there, so.
Oh, to talk with him and Melly about what exactly?
Well, actually, Melly wasn't there.
Okay, so you met Chris alone in a hotel room.
Yes, all right, I already said that.
Hey, I'm the one who should be upset. All right? Did you know that they were coming this weekend?
No, of course not.
Okay. You have always been so much better at keeping secrets than me.
Yeah, well, I thought so too. Till now. Why should you be so worried that I was with Chris?
I don't know, Jan. You tell me, huh?
Yeah. The thing is, I don't have anything to tell. But you. I should have been watching what you and Melly were up to a long time ago.
Oh. You know.
Yes. So it's true then.
Chris tell you?
No, Melly. Does it matter who?
I was hoping that you wouldn't have to find out from anyone at all.
You should have just told me yourself.
Couldn't. Not after I'd have to confront you about Chris. I didn't think I had the right.
Yes, and that's just it. How could you be such a stupid coward? You believed I had cheated on you without even asking me. Why would you even think such a thing in the first place? But by the way, I didn't. Not with Chris, not with anyone else.
Okay, no, but Chris, he had me.
I said no.
He had me believing that.
And you hated his guts.
Yes, I did. Later. And Melly, she seemed to believe it too, huh? And I knew that you were unhappy with me. After I let you down by losing that money.
No, I was only upset that you didn't consult me first before you offered it. But then once you had, I didn't want you to go back on your word.
That's your pride then, huh? Your pride. I could have just told him that you said no, and that would have been the end of it.
You kept complaining that it would destroy you to turn your back on your friend. That's not the kind of person I am, you said. And so because Chris betrayed your trust about the money, you had to betray mine?
No. Okay, no, that's not how this happened at all. I thought that you had lost respect for me, okay? And that you had cheated on me because you wanted someone different from the person you had in the first place.
I hadn't lost respect for you. But I have now.
I know. I know. I'm so very sorry.
For me? Or for yourself?
For both of us? Okay? But that doesn't make what we have and what we've built together a lie. Does it? Jan? Listen, I can understand if you don't want to be with me after this, but I couldn't stand our past meaning nothing at all.
I don't know what to think or feel. Have there been other women since then?
No, of course not.
Of course not. Yeah. How can I trust you anymore? Or be sure that you won't cheat on me again? Maybe if I hadn't been so busy, I would have realized how far we had drifted apart. Would have seen that what I imagined was real. It took that stupid Chris stumbling back into our lives to... I really have to go.
Jan?
Al, no. Just let me. Late at night, Carol could see only a sliver of sky from her bedroom window, the stars further hidden by the orange haze of the city lights. She remembered traveling with her parents and stopping to sleep at a roadside hotel. As her father carried her inside, they looked up at the glittering sky. He smiled, and she snuggled against him, amazed that he could make such a thing happen just for her. Was falling in love about finding a person with whom to search for and recover that total trust and wonder at being alive? Or was it only in raising a child that a couple could make that magic happen for another? And if there was no child, or the child was gone from their lives, was that journey still possible? Perhaps the ninth planet was really fate, or karma that granted only to some the gift of being awestruck in that light.
Scene 9, Sunday morning, the fountain at Lincoln Square.
Do you remember that time we brought our girls here to play? And how they made themselves dizzy, running around and around to the fountain and then fell giggling to the ground? They had so much fun together. Do you remember that day?
I think so. We came here a few times, didn't we?
That was one of the last bright moments. I didn't take pictures, but they're all right here.
Sure. Becky was a beautiful child, Chris, in every way.
After she died, I walked around numb for months until months became a year, and I still felt so empty and lost.
That's why you hurt your wife and my wife and me, because you felt empty and lost.
I don't think I did anything to hurt anyone. What caused damage was all the anger Melly was directing at me, as if I could have waved a magic wand and made Becky better. So I checked into a hotel. I had to get away from her.
From her, yeah.
I called your place that night, okay? Because I needed someone sane to talk to.
You could have just talked to me.
I tried, actually, but you wouldn't come to the phone. probably still mad at me over having lost that money.
So because you thought I was mad at you, you decided to seduce my wife?
No, but when I opened the door and she looked so lovely, I just had this urge to kiss her. So
Chris, stop it.
and then I took her in my arms and I kissed her again.
Yeah, Chris, stop.
Nice and slow.
Damn it. Chris, I said stop it. Would you
I
just...
wanted her to stay there with me. More than anything I wanted in the entire world.
Chris,
But she just said, I'm sorry, I can't. And then she turned and left. That's all.
yeah, that's all. Then why, Chris? Why did you have Melly and I believe that something more had happened?
Well, that.
Yes, that. I asked you point blank, and you just smirked at me, and you said nothing. You refused to answer.
Would you have believed me if I told you the truth?
You could have at least tried.
Melly, she needed someone else to blame.
Said all you did,
Seems I wasn't enough.
just pile on these lies.
Well, everyone lies. But what's important is that you care about the people around you, right? I still care about you, Al, both you and Jan.
Incredible. You know, you really are something. You know, when Becky died, I knew that you felt like the world was just being cruel to you and you alone. But it didn't give you the right to be a malicious bastard to everyone around you. It's time to move on, Chris. Stop seeing yourself as the victim here. You keep talking about being responsible, but you don't take responsibility for anything that you do. Or you can't even admit when you've done something wrong. You need help, Chris. Jan and I, we were doing just fine.
So you say.
Yes, Chris, I do say. And after all this time, you come back into our lives and you cause pain.
You think you didn't cause pain? You betrayed your wife over something that never even happened. With your perfect marriage and your perfect child.
Don't even talk about Sarah. I'm warning you.
And sense of moral superiority.
I don't feel superior. I never have.
Oh, yeah, that's the thing about so-called progressive thinkers and the politics of right and wrong.
This has nothing to do with politics, Chris. It's just basic decency and that friendship that you keep talking so much about.
I don't hold a grudge against you, okay? But things happen, and I don't want. Listen, Al, please listen. I have contacts now in publishing.
No, Chris, absolutely not.
You could get that book published that you've always wanted to write out there for people to actually read.
I said forget it, Chris. I don't want your help with anything.
Move on. Be better friends than we ever were. I need.
Oh, no, Chris, absolutely not. And no more of what you need. It's always what you need. Even though you tried to seduce my wife again just last night.
But she called me this time. Remember? She called me. I had to find out what she wanted, what would happen this time when I opened the door.
Damn you.
Go ahead. Hit me. If it will make you feel any better, come on. Do it.
No.
See, that's too bad. When it comes down to that, your wife has more guts than you do.
Go to hell.
Down the block from the cafe, the L platform hovered above the street. Carol had always liked this neighborhood of 20-somethings and happy young families with cute and well-dressed children. The people rushing to and from the L carried their dreams like tokens of hope in a breast pocket. They could peer in now and then to remind themselves why they went to work each day. She wondered how much her own personality determined her dreams. Was the ninth planet really just what we inherited through our DNA or from our childhood and culture? Could we ever reshape ourselves to our own image? Or, like when riding the owl, were we limited in where we could get to, or even to what we could see and understand along the way?
Scene 10, the fountain, Sunday afternoon.
Guess it would have been better if we had just gotten ice cream yesterday.
Maybe.
Or better yet, if Chris and I hadn't waved to you the other night and you and Al hadn't waved back.
It wouldn't have fixed what was wrong.
Yeah, you would think the truth is best, but anyway, I didn't come here to apologize.
No?
No. Maybe try to explain. Janice, I was really a mess then. Chris couldn't deal with my grief and his at the same time. Even looking at me seemed too much for him. If only he could have loved me more. Just loved me more. Our child was gone. What was the point of still living after that?
So you're saying when you slept with Al, that kept you from suicide?
Sounds ridiculous, but in retrospect, maybe yeah.
And the following year, when I went with you to the hospital for your procedure, you seemed so grateful that I was there. How could you have used me like that when you knew what you had done?
I wanted to tell you then. I really did. I didn't have anyone else. And I had to take care of things. And you agreed.
I agreed it was your choice to decide, but I also said you should maybe discuss it with Chris first. Not sure I would have helped at all if I had known.
I think you would have. You were there for me, and you kept that secret.
And you'll never tell Chris about any of that?
No, I'm not that cruel, am I? That baby would just have been sick in the same way, and I couldn't go through that again. Neither could Chris. Some secrets perhaps better be buried forever.
Yes, secrets. There's one thing I need to know from you, and I need the truth. The second baby, was there any chance at all that it was Al's?
Oh, God, no, Jan. Do you think I would have asked you to come with me if that had been the case?
Would you have told Al?
What difference does it make? It wasn't his. I swear to you. He and I, it was only that one time.
That's what you say.
You think I didn't try to make it happen again? He wouldn't do it.
He was probably afraid, the bastard.
Yes, of losing you.
He should have been.
I'm sorry that I hurt you. But I suppose I desperately needed some tenderness at that particular moment.
I'm certainly glad my husband could be of service then.
He was. Thanks. No marriage is perfect.
No, it's not.
No wife can give her husband everything he wants and needs.
Yes, and no man can do the same for his wife, but the thing is, we don't just go somewhere else then to get it.
A lot of people do. Don't tell me you've never been tempted. I don't mean that time with Chris, but now with anyone else?
No, I'm not sure why.
Good. I'm glad. Don't give up on what you have because of me. I would never forgive myself.
I should stay with my husband so his ex-lover doesn't feel guilty. Well, I imagine you need to go back and pack for your flight to London.
Not really, no.
You and Chris aren't moving back to Chicago, are you?
Really? No. Do you think that we would do that to the two of you? But I'm not going back to England with Chris either.
Oh? Where to then?
To my sister's daughter's house in upstate New York. She just had a baby and I offered to help. A chance to catch up with them all.
Sounds like a good idea.
But after that, I'm considering graduate school. I know it's kind of weird, but do you think that Al could write me a recommendation? No, never mind.
Melly, have you told Chris your plans yet?
I will. When we get to the airport, it's better that way. Then I can at least see him off. I do feel sorry for him, but I just can't live with him anymore. Don't tell Al about my plans, will you? I don't think that he will tell Chris, but...
One more secret. But no, don't worry. I won't. Have a good life, Mel.
Yes. What's left of it? You too.
Sunday evenings were a swoon toward sleep from the cafe to their bed. The dry cleaner closed, the hair salon dark, the bar glowing red, green, and blue, and a bus shimmering by like a ghostly silver fish.
A companionable silence, with its aura of memory and melancholy, lured her down a dark well, where she and her husband would float beside each other like two pieces of flotsam destined to drown in the tandem beat of their allied and imperfect hearts. As if the ninth planet was really a primordial black hole, drawing them toward nothingness and oblivion. Someday, perhaps, a bus passenger would read what she had written in the cafe. A transference of energy through two panes of glass from one gathering darkness to another, making time, for the traveler at least, pass more lightly.
Scene 11, the cafe, Monday morning.
Hi, Al. Where's Jan?
She had a last-minute school meeting she couldn't miss.
It's too bad. Isn't it, Chris? Chris.
Yes. But good thing Melly's here to protect me.
I wouldn't count on it.
Oh,
Yes.
So,
moving on then.
Yes. Don't want to overstay our welcome, do we, Melly?
no, the longer we are here, Chris, the more American you sound.
God forbid.
That's not something we used to say much during the campaign.
Well, I mean, if we'd known how much of a problem having an effective, intelligent president would be for some people.
It's pretty here in the fall.
Yeah, it can be.
The autumn light can put things in a different perspective.
Think that helps anything?
Good. Shouldn't it?
Well, I think it's important to hold one's ground.
Yes, even in an earthquake, Chris would straddle the line.
Well, better than being swallowed up by indecision.
Aren't you forgetting something?
Oh, yes, I was hoping Jan would be here too, but Al, before you object, Melly and I discussed it.
Yes, we did.
Since the money you invested was unfortunately lost, and I am now in a position to, let us say, compensate you for your goodwill in joining us in that past venture.
Yeah, I was expecting nothing of the sort.
Oh, weren't you? That's fine with me then.
Chris.
Told you he wouldn't take it.
No. I didn't say that. I'll take it, all right? But not from you.
What the hell?
Here.
This is for Jan.
For Jan.
She was thinking of taking a sabbatical to finish her novel.
Don't give a damn how you use it, old boy. No, just try to think fondly of me now and then, if that is not too horribly difficult.
Well, it'll be nice to have the money anyway. Thank you, Melly.
Are we even, then?
More like all's fair in love and war.
Grand. Now, I'd love to chat some more, but I could use a little walk before we get on the plane.
Over to the fountain again?
Yes. Why not? Melly, are you coming?
No. I'll meet you there in a little bit.
Suit yourself.
He sure does like that fountain.
Likes to punish himself with guilt.
Oh, no. I don't think he feels guilty about anything.
Most things, I suppose not. It was good to see you again.
Was it? Really?
Yeah. At least you haven't changed at all.
Yeah, I think that I have.
No. But you're a much better actor than I thought.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Actually, I think you do.
I just wasn't expecting to see you this weekend, that's all.
Instead, you were hoping to never see me again?
Was there a reason to?
So, are you saying that you don't remember any of that night? Well, I do. Every bit. And I thought you rather enjoyed it.
It was a couple of hours in a lifetime.
And you've regretted it every moment since?
We got carried away. It was a terrible mistake. I should have never done that to Jan.
No, you shouldn't have. But it seems she's doing okay.
Jan is still Jan.
Not what I meant. She's changed a lot.
You think so?
Yeah. Lost some of that softness. I always knew she was the smartest one of all of us, but she's a lot tougher than I thought.
Perhaps you're right.
Don't even know your own wife. Guess I was lucky I didn't fall in love with you after all.
I said I was sorry, didn't I?
Yes, you were so god-awful sincere. It only made me feel the worse.
Because of Jan.
No, because of me. I had really wanted you to want me. Damn you. But you were only using me. There was nothing kind about it. Makes me wonder if any of you men ever grow up. You and Chris are more alike than you think. Better wake up, Al. Because Jan, she already has.
It snowed one evening at the end of that October when the leaves had turned but not yet fallen. The next morning, the sun and the snow deepened the colors, making everything glisten, including the sky. Walking to the L, carrying graded and corrected book reports, Carol stopped entranced before one small tree where the snow cupped at the tips of limb and twig, like the delicate petals of a second spring. The seasons lost their boundaries. Time slipped out of sync, as if the fabric of the universe was torn, and she could see deeply into things. Could she fix the mistakes she had made, let alone the mistakes of others? She felt her defenses weakening. If the source of love inside her ran dry, what would be left of her life?
Scene 12, the apartment, Monday evening.
We missed them at the cafe.
That's okay. I already said my goodbyes. Did you eat?
I picked up some lunch.
No dinner?
No,
You could have made yourself something.
I wasn't hungry. Why, are you?
A bit.
Are you here to stay?
I don't know.
I just thought I'd ask.
I see.
You want me to go?
You don't have to.
Okay, but do you want to go?
Not now, anyway. I'm tired.
And hungry. I can make you a PB&J.
Oh, would you?
Yeah. Yeah, sure. Absolutely. I made one of these for you once before.
I remember. You invited me to dinner at your place, but you didn't know how to cook.
Hey, there were a lot of things that I didn't know how to do, but you married me anyway.
I guess I was pretty stupid.
Yeah. You were.
Yeah, you did get better. Some things.
Did I?
A little. Thanks.
So does this bring us full circle? Is this our last date, then?
I may never forgive you.
I know. Did you remember that poem that you wrote for me when we were first married?
I don't think my poetry then was anything special.
Oh, no, it was. To me.
That was because we were newlyweds.
No, it was because you had an insight into consequences that was nearly painful.
So you're saying my writing was a pain?
No, it's just, you could see so far ahead, it frightened and exhilarated me. Kind of like you did, as a matter of fact.
I don't know what you're talking about.
You should. You were the most beautiful woman that I had ever seen.
Only because you didn't get around much and were rather nearsighted besides.
I am nearsighted, that I will give you. But stop changing the subject. Do you remember it?
I'm not sure.
There was no center till I met you. And now there is no boundary to what I might be. And yet, I know that before we're through,
We will be all we can know of eternity.
see, I knew you remembered it. Okay, so how about it? Are we going on for forever?
Lately, you certainly do. Rhymes have an inevitability that's not always true. Anyway, I'm not sure that's exactly what that poem means.
I need you, Jan.
Yes, and I need you too.
Beyond any explicación de text, I mean, we don't always have to understand, we just have to be.
You're the literary critic, not me. Sometimes it's not so good to hold on to the things we need,
What's that supposed to mean?
unless they belong still in our grasp.
And I don't still belong to you?
Do you?
Who else?
Maybe you should consider whether you still deserve me.
I suppose I should. We're gonna need another sandwich.
Why, are you sorry you shared that one?
You never mind, then. Please, Jan, just don't go.
I already said, for now. Okay?
Epilogue: The apartment and the airport.
Carol was never completely sure how to define that ninth planet. If it wasn't God who blessed us with life and abandoned us to our fate,
It wasn't the love that helped us blossom into the light, but also tugged us back down into the dark and chaotic stream of time.
And if it wasn't the child she raised or the ones she taught, all the dreams she had clearly invested in them.
It wasn't the politics beyond her influence or the personality that she tried to evolve the best she could, but a culture that shaped and limited her point of view.
what is
What is the thing controlling your
controlling our
destiny?
destiny? She looked out again at the street outside the cafe, the snow making a blank slate of the world. The conclusion she reached, that it mattered most what we did to make things whole. what we allowed ourselves to feel, what we rejected to feel, no matter how tiny in relation to this universe. Only then did we have a chance for some say over the future, no matter how uncertain it might be.
The end.